Let me ask you a question. Is financial bigotry hurting your retirement? What in the world am I talking about? You've probably never heard of financial bigotry before, but it exists. And unfortunately, it's not something that's happening against you. It's happening inside you, and it's hurting you, and you may not even be aware of it. My job is to solve that problem by educating you, showing you where some of your bigotry lies, and setting you free from those misconceptions that could be holding you back from a better retirement and a financial plan that makes sense. Here's what I mean. There's a blog called, sorry about that vibration. There is a blog called Wheel in the Sky that I have got there on the website, bravado.wealth/blog, Wheel in the Sky. Take a look at it. I go into explaining what I mean by financial bigotry. Also, too, I have another blog about the 4 factors and a podcast about stability planning and the 4 factors, and we'll provide a link to that here below. Suffice it to say, though, we have got a problem, and that is that there are folks out there who are telling you, perhaps they're advisors, perhaps they're radio personalities, perhaps they write books and so forth, whatever the case may be, I'm here to tell you that they are perhaps not telling you the entire story. You see, what it boils down to, just like people, there are no perfect investments. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but if you were to talk to my wife or my daughter or perhaps even people I work with here at the office, they'll tell you that I'm not perfect. I know that's a shocker, but I have some strengths, some amazing strengths that I'd like to talk to you about, but I also have some weaknesses. One of my strengths, if you don't mind my bragging a little bit, is I'm punctual. I am very, very punctual, and it's something that I pride myself on. I feel that if I'm 5 minutes early, I'm still late. It's almost really a weakness, actually, because I will really stress out if I'm not on time. One of my weaknesses, and I don't have many, just again, ask my friends, ask my family members, ask the people here that I work with. Driving. I can be sometimes an aggressive driver, an impatient driver. Also, when people meander sideways across a parking lot, say at the grocery store or at Walmart or Target, drives me bonkers. I like right angles. Right angles, cross and go. And I sometimes can be, I don't know, a little type A when it comes to those type of things. A little hard to deal with when it comes to driving. Well, okay, so I'm not perfect. You've discovered that about me. And guess what? You're not perfect either, just in case you were wondering, but you've got some great qualities. And that's how investments are. So what are some of the investments that you've heard are completely 100% off limits for whatever reason? Some radio personalities feel that we should not be investing in anything similar to or sounding like an annuity. Why is that? Well, an annuity, for instance, has something called a contingent deferred sales charge. Essentially, you are trapped there for 5, 7, 10 years, depending on the contract and the insurance company's deal that they set up. So now you're hearing a lot of folks on the radio giving advice to tell you that annuities are bad. Well, again, nobody's perfect. No investment's perfect. There's another blog that I explain more about this and how we solve that problem, and it's called The 4 Factors. There's also a podcast on the 4 factors that I mentioned before. And the 4 factors that I like to look at are the factors that we need to rate an investment or an investment strategy. Let me give you an example of what I mean. A while back ago, 2003, 2004, here in beautiful Orlando, Florida, everybody said that the best investment in the world was real estate. It was going through the roof, and it was they weren't making any more of it. Interest rates were low. Banks were accommodative. Anybody could get a loan. We used to call them ninja loans, no income, no job, no problem. So obviously, it was the hot thing to do, real estate. People were, prejudiced for. They liked real estate no matter what. And we all know how, at least here in Central Florida, that ended in 2007, 8, 9. And quite frankly, we're still picking up the pieces here as a lot of properties are being unwound from decisions made back in, those earlier days of the housing boom before the 2008 Great Recession. The problem with real estate is that it's not bad. And it's not good. It just is. Let's take a look at the 4 factors. The 4 factors would be growth and yield. historically, real estate has a pretty good growth in yield. The other thing about we like to look at as far as the four factors is volatility and stability. So stability being the opposite of volatility, so it looks like it's stability. Well, with real estate, it's not valued like a stock, so we really don't see the price fluctuating that much. We just see that slow and steady growth because we really only get to know the price of it, generally speaking, over longer periods of time. So that's not too shabby when it comes to real estate. And I'm talking right now, let's say rental income or rental properties rather. Not only do you have the growth of the value of the property, but you also have the rent that's coming in to help perhaps pay the mortgage or perhaps to create an income when you're in retirement. But then we also have another factor, very important, and that is liquidity. Well, how liquid is real estate? Can you take a piece of brick and use it to go buy a loaf of bread like you could with cash in the bank? No, it's not liquid. Your money is inside that property, and oftentimes people also have mortgages and loans against those rental properties. And so you're actually upside down when it comes to liquidity. And in a bad market like we had in 2006 to who knows when, maybe 12 here in Central Florida, you could even be upside down. And then finally there's fees, and I would also include taxes there. So the fees when it comes to rental properties, well, those can be high. You've got brokerage commissions for the realtor. You've got interest on the mortgage. Let's see here. You've also got taxes. The government has to get paid. You've got utilities. You've got the rental company. Perhaps you're paying a rental company to help you take care of that property and find tenants and so forth. And then, of course, you have carrying costs when the property isn't filled. So there's some expenses there. Real estate isn't free. Is real estate good or is real estate bad? No, that's like saying, is Ray good or is Ray bad? Are you good or are you bad? We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And we all have to judge each other as an individual, not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character and how punctual we are. I'm kidding. Punctuality is not a characteristic that you have to judge people by. But what I am saying is when it comes to your investments, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to judge them individually, and then you take a look at how it fits together in your entire investment, retirement, financial plan, and stop judging an investment by the name that it carries, but really do some analysis. I'd like to help you do that analysis. Take a look at those articles, read them over, and get a better understanding of the four factors through the podcast and the blog about why financial bigotry could cost you big time in retirement. And if you'd like, schedule a phone call. I'd be more than happy to talk to you a little bit about how your portfolio works together and perhaps some of the four factors that you haven't had a chance to take a look at yet. Thank you.